All right, fellers, what's up and Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to the program. I wanted to go over the games that I beat in 2024 with you. It's just going to be a very short video. Not a very big stack here, but we're going to kick it off with a couple of Super Nintendo games. Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. I grew up playing the original Donkey Kong Country. I have very fond memories of that. It's one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo, easily top 5. I'd say top 5. So what are my top 5 favorite Super Nintendo games, you ask? At number 5, I have Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Number 4 is Donkey Kong Country. Number 3 is A Link to the Past. Earthbound is number 2. And my favorite is Final Fantasy III, also known as Final Fantasy VI in the rest of the world. Anyway, between Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3, this might come as a surprise, but I actually like Donkey Kong Country 3 more. I think most people, they actually love the second one in the series the most out of all three, but I still have such a soft spot for the original that's still my favorite. 2 was great. I just, it's a me problem. Very, very difficult. Like, I got so frustrated in the last several stages of this game that it was just kind of off-putting. But I think 3 was very evenly balanced, and therefore it was kind of more enjoyable. The open world, driving in between the worlds and stages like that was a little goofy. So there were things about each one of them that I liked and disliked. I mean, music's really good in both of them, so both worth playing, absolutely, without a doubt. So those are my first 2 games that I beat of 2024. Next, I mean, these aren't really in any order. I'll try to remember what order I beat them in. I think this is about right. Sign More EX on the PS4. This was recommended to me a few years ago by Cam from Modern Retro Renaissance. Really, really beautiful side-scrolling shooter. Very kind of heavy topics in here, so I wouldn't recommend this for kids. It says mature, ages 17 and older, but really, really amazing, beautiful shooter, modern shooter. Next, Hoa. Another beautiful game. This is like a puzzle platformer that I played with my daughter, and she's actually the one that beat it. She needed a little bit of help at the end from me because it does get tricky. But man, I mean, the storytelling in this, really, really amazing game. Highly recommend that as well. Next one. This was something that we also played together. New Joe and Mac, Caveman Ninja on the PS4. This was a little bit of a letdown, unfortunately. When I saw that a new Joe and Mac game was coming out, I had to have it. I love the one from Super Nintendo. Never played the one on the original Nintendo. But again, love Joe and Mac on the Super Nintendo. And so I had to have this, and this was just really disappointing. We got through this game in what seemed like a flash. I mean, I don't think there's more than an hour of content in this game, but I could be wrong. I mean, it seemed like we beat it in 20 minutes. I don't know if that's actually possible. But, I mean, it's a good-looking game. I just wish there was more to it, and perhaps there is. I need to fire it up again and just convince myself that there isn't more to this. Next, okay, here we go. On to Game Boy Advance with the Castlevania Double Pack, which was traded to me by Josh from Play More Games. I got a chance to sit down with this and beat both of the games on here, Harmony of Dissonance and Aria of Sorrow. Both really, really good. Aria of Sorrow, definitely a better game in my opinion, but both absolutely worth playing. So good. It was kind of a Castlevania year. I played a lot of Castlevania this year for sure. Next, Metroid Zero Mission. This one caught me by surprise. This whole time I thought it was just original Metroid with a map, but it's really not. There's so much more to it. And highly recommended. I like this and Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. However, this is probably the better game. Yeah, I would have to say this is the better game. Really intense, especially at the end there. All of these games really recommended. Maybe not so much this one. This was a quick one. Renegade on the NES. I don't know. Just decided to sit down and finally just beat that. I figured that was going to be quick, so I did. That's kind of early beat 'em up for the 8-bit era. Sorry about the noise. Yeah, early beat 'em up for the 8-bit era there. Next, this is my favorite game probably of last year that I got to play through. It is Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the Castlevania Requiem collection. This contains Symphony of the Night and also Rondo of Blood. Haven't played through Rondo of Blood yet, only the first few stages. That's really good. But highly recommend Symphony of the Night. I'm probably the only one on the planet that hasn't played through that. And man, what an experience that was, especially being able to play through it on a modern console and have things like rumble effects on the controller. Amazing soundtrack. You could just listen to the soundtrack. It's one of these types of games. So yeah, that was my favorite game of 2024 without a doubt. I could see myself firing that up again and playing through it. And the last game, not an exciting one, but it is on the DS, Lego Batman, the video game. I kind of like these Lego video games. We got a few of them on the PS4, both of the Marvel superhero ones, and I'd like to get more of these. And on the DS, it's all right. There's no dialogue as far as like verbal dialogue. It's all text, and the cutscenes are kind of lame. So it was an okay experience, but you could play through it in probably 3-4 hours. And it's good. There's something like 15 stages in the main story, but there's actually more. I didn't really want to continue other than just do the main story, the 15 episodes. The driving stages and also the kind of flying stages are probably my favorite. You get to use the both screens as an extended kind of vertical screen in those. So very cool. And that, guys, those are the games that I beat in 2024. It's about a dozen games, maybe 10 games. I wasn't keeping track. Hard to find time these days, but hopefully we can kick it off strong. I'm not sure what I'll be sitting down and beating next. I know I've got about a dozen hours into Horizon Forbidden West, so I'm looking forward to putting more time into that this year. I'm curious which games did you beat in 2024, and which were your favorites, and what are you kind of excited to play in the upcoming year? And that just about does it for this video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.